Imagine being a journalist so fearless, so relentless, that you uncovered secrets powerful men wanted to erase from history. Now imagine knowing those secrets and telling your friends, if the wrong people knew what I know, it would cost me my life. Dorothy Kilgallen said those words, and days later, she was dead. Tonight, we continue the story of the glamorous reporter who wasn't supposed to die, or at least, not like this. Was she silenced for what she discovered about the JFK assassination? Or was her death the tragic coincidence of a woman in over her head? By the mid-1960s, Dorothy Kilgallen had everything. A syndicated column read by millions, a prime spot on the hit game show What's My Line, and the ear of celebrities and politicians alike. But behind the glitz, Dorothy was haunted. The assassination of President John F. Kennedy gnawed at her. While most journalists accepted the Warren Commission's conclusion that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone, Dorothy refused. She had always been bold, but this time she was obsessed. She pulled late nights poring over transcripts. She grilled her contacts for scraps of information. And then came the moment that set her apart from every other reporter. She landed a private interview with Jack Ruby, the man who killed Oswald live on television. Ruby, jittery and emotional, hinted at forces beyond himself. Dorothy walked away convinced that Oswald hadn't acted alone, and Ruby hadn't either. Her columns became sharper, more dangerous. She accused the commission of burying the truth. She declared publicly that she was writing a book that would expose the real story. To her readers, this was thrilling. To those who may have had something to hide, it was threatening. Dorothy's apartment was no longer just a home. It was an archive. Stacks of documents, handwritten notes, and transcriptions piled high. Somewhere among them sat her most prized possession, the so-called Jack Ruby file. Friends recalled her clutching this file protectively, moving it from place to place, almost as if she knew it was worth more than her own life. Inside, she claimed, was evidence that tied Oswald to larger forces, and possibly evidence that Jack Ruby himself had been silenced by those same forces. But she also confided something chilling. If the wrong people knew what I know, it would cost me my life. She wasn't exaggerating. Dorothy knew she was walking a thin line between investigative triumph and mortal danger. Yet she pressed forward, telling confidence a book would blow the case wide open. She was on the verge of publishing. And then, she was gone. November 7th, 1965. The Regency Hotel in Manhattan glowed with chandeliers and champagne. Dorothy arrived in style. Elegant gown, perfect hair, witty banter on her lips. To everyone else, it was just another night in the city's social scene. But witnesses noticed something unusual. Dorothy wasn't mingling like she usually did. Instead, she seemed locked in hushed conversation with a tall, dark-suited man, someone no one at the party could later identify. Some guests whispered that she left with him. Others swore she left alone. What's undeniable is that hours later, Dorothy Kilgallen would never be seen alive again. The image is haunting. A glamorous journalist, secrets heavy on her shoulders, stepping out of a glittering party into the shadows of Manhattan night. Did she know she was walking into danger? Or did she think she was one step away from cracking the story of a lifetime? The next morning, November 8th, Dorothy's maid entered the townhouse. What she found would fuel decades of suspicion. Dorothy lay on a neatly made bed in the guest room, not her usual bedroom. She wore full makeup, false eyelashes, and even her wig. Beside her, a book rested as if she had been reading, though friends swore she wasn't interested in it. On the table, an empty glass and pills. The coroner ruled her death acute ethanol and barbiturate intoxication, a mix of alcohol and sleeping pills. An accident, but the scene didn't make sense. Dorothy rarely drank heavily. She never mixed pills and alcohol. She almost never slept in the guest room. And anyone who knew her insisted she would never go to bed in full glam, as though she were ready for the cameras. The word stage echoed in the minds of those who saw her. Even worse, her Jack Ruby file was missing. The very note she guarded so carefully, gone without a trace. If Dorothy's death was no accident, who silenced her? The suspects form a chilling web. The mafia, Dorothy had written fearlessly about mob connections. Jack Ruby himself had ties to organized crime. If her notes exposed names, the mob may have had every reason to keep her quiet. The government, her public criticism of the Warren Commission embarrassed officials. A book tearing apart their finding could have shattered public trust at a volatile time. Did someone in power decide her silence was safer than her words? Jack Ruby's handlers. If Dorothy learned the truth from Ruby, that he was a pawn in something bigger, she may have threatened to reveal names that couldn't risk exposure. And then, there was a mysterious man from the Regency Hotel. Who was he? A confidant? A handler? Or the last person to see Dorothy alive before her story ended? The aftermath of her death was almost as suspicious as the death itself. The police accepted the overdose ruling without serious investigation. No deep interviews. No hunt for the missing file. No attempt to track the mysterious man from a party. Her husband, Richard Comar, gave no dramatic plea for answers. No interviews. No public demands for justice. Just silence. It was as if the world agreed to move on quickly, as if Dorothy's death was an inconvenience best left unexplored. But for her friends, her colleagues, and for true crime researchers decades later, that silence has only made the case louder. Dorothy Kilgallen's death remains one of the most chilling unsolved mysteries of the 20th century. A woman on the verge of revealing secrets about the JFK assassination, gone overnight, her evidence erased, her final hours cloaked in contradictions. Was she killed by mobsters, silenced by the government, or betrayed by someone she trusted? In our next episode, we'll follow the trail of suspects even further, into the smoky world of organized crime, the corridors of political power, and the shadows of men who wore fedoras and trench coats, where truth and danger were never far apart. Because the deeper we go into Dorothy's death, the clearer it becomes. She didn't just stumble upon a story. She stumbled into something people were willing to kill for.